Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Smash University. We have another episode of Coach's Corner, and we already talked about Incineroar. This time, we actually have SkyJay with us. So we got myself and Tony, and of course, SkyJay. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into this interview. And before we get into the interview, if you guys love the content and you guys want to support us, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That's the best way you guys can support us so we can keep all this content flowing for everyone. So, getting right into it, I think the main thing I want to start with, SkyJay, is just your journey with the character. I think it's absolutely insane, one, what you're currently doing with a character that I also believe was mid tier, and I kind of still don't have I still have my doubts in Incineroar, but it's just crazy that you're able to take a character that most of the community thinks is not as strong, has obviously some very big flaws in the recovery and stuff like that, and do what you do today, get into these top eights of these crazy tournaments, and even have some incredible runs up to grand finals and stuff like that. So very interested to hear about your journey. Like, when did you pick up Incineroar? And then even from the point you picked up Incineroar, was there any doubts in the character? Were you thinking about switching? Were you thinking about doing pocket picks? Right? Like, I'm just so intrigued by the earlier parts of your journey, especially in the beginning of Ultimate when everyone was dogging characters with bad recoveries like Chrom and Incineroar and stuff like that, right?
Okay. At the start of Ultimate, I was actually a Zelda main. I never thought of picking up Incineroar because it's not like I'm not a Pokemon fan. I like a really old school Pokemon fan, like Pokemon Blue and stuff like that. So I never thought about Incineroar. I just got him in a randoms before his OB was actually good. And I was like, oh, this character is actually funny. Let's just play a little bit more, laugh with him. I was laughing so bad down for R.O.B, stuff like that, like easy, cheesy stuff. And then he got buffed on the OB, and I was like, maybe in a tournament. And there was a strong regional in Mexico City, Ragnarok, and I got like 13 plays with him, only defeated by Leso when he was on his peak and Big Boss. So I was like, actually, I'm not like, it's not a bad character for me. I never thought he was like a bad character overall. I never knew he was a bad character overall. So I just keep playing with him, and when I started traveling, everyone told me the same. When I first met Chak, he was like, okay, you are really good at this game, but you should pick up another character. And I was like, why? I have fun with him. I think like that's the most important thing, you know? And he was like, okay, but you're actually, you're not putting all your talent into a good character. And I was like, I think I can make him work. I never thought I was going to be like, really on good heights. First time I pick up Smash, he was actually Ultimate, so I was like just having fun in tournaments. So I never thought about like being one of the best players in the world, competitively talking. So that's the reason I think like Incineroar fits with me, because I'm just having fun with him, even at this point where I have to face like amazing players. It's just like, okay, we are still having fun no matter the situation. It's because my character allows that. I can be really creative with him.
Nice. Did you have any questions, Tony, about the earlier stages of SkyJay's career? I mean, that's crazy that Ultimate's your first game too, so it's another thing to just, add onto the list there. Very impressive stuff.
So, if you could go back and do it again, would you do it the same way, or would you think more on what the characters available to you were?
Wow.
If I had to go back into the early Ultimate, knowing what I know right now, maybe I will be picking another character that I knew is gonna be like really good. Maybe, I don't know, kind of a Ken player, because I really wanted to play like Ryu or Ken. I just don't know how to be playing the game while I have to be having the combos in mind. I'm just not good at it. But I think I would have done the same, like picking up Incineroar, knowing he was gonna get like really good boobs, having fun with the character. Yeah, I think I would have done the same, maybe picking another char just to have even more fun. But yeah, I think I will not change my character, like despite going back in time 4 years ago.
And with that said, would you consider investing time into Ken or a similar character going forward? Like, even if it's not for tournament, just for fun?
There was a time where I was actually trying to play like Ken for maybe a couple months, for having fun, and I thought he was like a really cool character. But like spending the time I have spent with Incineroar, even like a secondary or something like that, I think not. Not because I don't like other characters. I really have fun playing other characters. I have so much fun playing randoms and stuff like that. But I just don't feel cool with other characters. I feel cool, but I don't feel the same way I feel while playing Incineroar. Like, I do stuff. I can do like the crazy combos. I can do Mario combos. I can do, I don't know, DK Ding Dong. I don't know, up throw, up B from K. Rool. It's like stuff like that. And it just not feel the same way as I'm playing in Zero, where everything I hit, it just feels amazing to hit that move because it's on my character.
So going forward, would you say that what's most important to you is the feeling of the character rather than the actual effectiveness of it? So whether it's good enough, as long as it feels good to you, if it's good enough?
Yeah, because I really think like this, besides maybe Dr. Mario or Ganondorf, every other character, as long as you are having so much fun with him, you're gonna be putting so much time and so much effort that you're gonna be putting like new text, new stuff, and different things that maybe other top players with the same character can do, or maybe you are the top player of the character. So you're having fun, you're gonna make new crazy stuff because you're having fun with the character. You're gonna try is like, for example, when I do R.O.B, it was like I just felt that was gonna hit and it feel cool to hit it. So yeah, the tiers doesn't matter. I really think the only character that you should not pick at all is like Ganondorf, and even Ganondorf I saw in Collision. Ganondorf was about to upset Squid Plumber, like Belmont Ganondorf doesn't seem like cool, and he was about to do it. So I'm a believer, like as long as you're having fun with the character, you're gonna be able to put a really good paper, a really good show, and maybe doing like the stuff I did on Collision is just like, because I didn't went through an easy bracket, to be honest. I just did it because I was putting so much effort in my character that I was able to beat those top tier characters and top tier players because I was having fun every set I had.
Yeah, I think that's a very good mentality. And if you go into it being like fun's the main objective, I think that kind of mentality is overall better for growth, right? So I think that kind of stuff will go a long way. At any point, did you feel like when you were, say halfway through your career or so, right? Maybe like a year ago or so, right? And you're playing Incineroar, did it ever feel like you couldn't even really try a pocket or switch mains because you were so invested into Incineroar, right? Like you've put so much time into Incineroar, it almost feels like you're trapped with the character. And I feel like there's a lot of maybe lower, mid, even high level players that kind of feel like that, or maybe even top level players where it's like, oh man, I've already put like 2 or 3 years into this one character. If I start learning another character, it'll take too long for it to catch up to my current character or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I feel I'm pretty sure every player, even top players, have went through that. I'm not doing more with my character. Maybe the character, it may be me, maybe it's not for me actually. Like for example, Cosmos switching from England to Aegis. Like his England was amazing, but I think he hit up really good heights with the new character. There was a time where I thought I should have changed it in Incineroar a couple times actually. I tried England early Ultimate because I was feeling so held back by Incineroar. Where I hate like a year and a half ago, I was like not getting good results anymore. So I was like, maybe people learned the matchup, and the only reason I was good at the game was because people didn't know the matchup.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about like other characters, at least counter picks or a really heavy secondary. But at the end, it doesn't went through really good for me. It doesn't went out really good for me because the same way I was trying to play them because I was trying to counter pick to play a better char, and I think that doesn't fit, at least not with me. And every time I tried that on tournaments, I just felt like if I win, I was winning because I was actually good at the game and not because I was fitting with the character. So at the end, yeah, I just stood up with Incineroar for the same reason. It just doesn't feel like other characters are your character. I'm not saying you should not change characters if you're not feeling like well with the character anymore. Just don't take the decision after a bad tournament because everyone is like, oh my god. For example, I got 97 at Genesis. It was like my worst result in the 4 years I have played with the Smash, and like right now I'm a top player and I got that really bad result for me. And I was like, okay, maybe we're just a bad tournament. Let's think the stuff with everything calm down. And maybe the next tournament I just need to put like the things I didn't do correctly on Genesis. And well, the next tournament it went really good. So yeah, if you're feeling like the character is not anymore after some time of actually playing that bad result, you may be like, okay, actually I need another character. Maybe I can have fun with another character. I think that's the key word for me. Like, if you're not having fun anymore with the character, maybe having fun with another character, go and look for it. Maybe you have fun, it fits with you. Even if you were like, I don't know, a Fox main for 4 years, and then you play something really different, like, I don't know, Bowser. But the Bowser is actually fitting with you, and it's not only like, okay, my locals I'm winning because I'm the top player. Okay, try it like in a regional, maybe in a major, maybe in a major. And you're gonna be like, okay, actually I'm doing crazy stuff with the character. Like, the moment you fit with the character, I think a lot of people know when they fit with the character. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm doing the stuff because I'm good at the game. Yeah, but sometimes if you are good at the game and you're fitting with the character because you are doing stuff, not even the top players, or as I said before, like maybe you are now the top player of the character did before, because now it's your stuff, your crazy stuff. You're fitting with the character, you're having fun with him, so you go through a lot of stuff, new text, just because you are trying to work the new character.
So how do you get to having fun when you do have bad tournaments? Like, how do you get from, that's usually a low point for most people. They're having the least amount of fun with the game when they go 0-2 or when they have their worst tournament result in life. So how do you get from that point to having fun again?
Okay, I think first of all, I mean, this is a little bit from my experience, because I'm not used to do really bad at tournaments. I think my consistency is something really good on me. Like, if I'm getting, at the start of Ultimate, I was getting 33s and 25s and 17s, and then I stay like on top 16s. And I was like, okay, obviously I want more, but someday I'm not going to be like as good at that. So I think having fun on a tournament, you went through a really bad bracket, you're just not playing really good. As it happened to me in Genesis, I was like, okay, I was really playing bad. I was playing bad. Like, obviously not saying like my opponent didn't play good, like Muffy and Omega, they were playing really good. I was playing bad, and they took it. But yeah, like the same day, I was like, okay, I just need to calm down a little bit. And the next day on Genesis, I was having fun with playing my friends, playing randoms, maybe some money matches, supporting my friends. Because a bad tournament doesn't determine what you are or your play styles. So I know it's hard to get up after a really bad result, more if you are like kind of used to better results. But as long as I see it right now, like as long as you think you are learning, as long as you are having the same fun and learning, like, okay, yeah, I lost and I'm going to lose because my opponent was better than me. Not because I was screwing up things, because I was nervous. I know being nervous in a tournament is really common, but if you are able to put that away and, okay, I got defeated by NK Leo, but I got defeated because he was reading my soul, because he was doing the best combos, because even if I was doing my confirms, at the end he was able to clutch everything. It's okay, because you are learning. Okay, he did this, he did that, and then the next time you face maybe not Leo, maybe another player, you're going to be like, okay, Leo punished me these 3 times, so now it's going to be the first time they punish me that. Okay, the second time it's not going to be like that. If you are able to do that, or at least thinking of the things that they are doing against you, you're going to be learning. And I think it's the most important thing, because results sometimes are going to flop. Sometimes, I don't know, I saw it really strong on Lost Tech City. Somba was defeated by Meister like really, really bad. And then 1 weekend after, Somba defeated Meister 3-0, I think, with his Lucina. And I was like, damn, Somba actually learned in the set. So even if he got like really bad defeated on LTC, he was learning. And I think that's the most important. It's sad not getting the results you want, or not the one you are used to, or not the one you were aiming for. But as long as you are learning, I think like that's what matters most.
So you mentioned getting past tournament nerves. I think that's one of those things that's easier said than done for most people. So for you, what would you say comprises your process of getting through tournament nerves? Like when you start feeling nervous at an event, how do you get from there to being calm again?
Okay, putting nerves away at this, I think it's a lot on experience. I think at the start of your ultimate majors is really difficult. Like the first time you're gonna travel to a major, you're most likely going 0-2, 1-2, 2-2 because you are, even if you are the best player in your region, you're like, okay, I didn't know people like this existed, or you are just going and you play like really, really bad. Even your friends are gonna be like, why did you do that, right? So it's part of the experience, but I think, as I said before, it's for me it's really important that if I'm gonna be defeated by someone, I'm gonna be defeated because he was playing better than me, not because, for example, in Incineroar scenario, if I get a down tilt on the ledge and then I screw up the F tilt because I'm nervous, I'm gonna like, okay, actually I'm doing bad things. The stuff is not going as I like it. Instead of, oh, okay, I got the down tilt, I got my confirm. Oh, but either way he defeated me. Okay, he defeated me because he was a better player. If I'm going home knowing I could have won that, but I didn't because I was on the nerves, on anxiety and stuff like that, I'm gonna be actually mad with myself. So I think that's the reason after some these last majors, I have gotten better results because it's okay. I have to put my feet on the ground. I have to put I'm aiming obviously every time for winning. And if I'm going down, I'm going down playing the best way I can play.
Nice. Yeah, nerves is always a great mystery, right? Because even knowing how to play while nervous is also a skill in itself, where it's like, oh, okay. I tell a lot of people, when you need to know that you're playing nervous, and then once you realize you're playing nervous, you need to know your nervous habits, right? And then you can put active thoughts into like, well, as long as I don't do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to lose some other way. But if I keep losing by like double jumping, panic double jumping, because that's my nervous tick, then I learn nothing, right? So that's what I always try to tell players, even because you're not going to play as well in your nervous state, but you can prevent what you do worst in the nervous state, because they're usually very simple ticks. And yeah, kind of depending on that, you can go from there. And again, it's kind of that mentality more towards learning, right? Because again, if you, as long as you don't do X, Y, and Z, which is what you always do when you're nervous, you can find out how else you lose when you don't do those things, and then you kind of expand on your adaptation, and you're able to grow from there, right? So yeah, amazing stuff. So I guess let's get right into Incineroar being part of today's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate meta. Do you think this character has something specific, or what kind of clicked for you to start bringing Incineroar into top 8s, right? Like you said, you kind of started off in that like top 32 area, then you're able to consistently get that top 16, but it always felt like, at least when I watched you in those earlier tournaments, it's like, dang, he's so good, but he got put off stage, one double jump read or something like that, right? Like just the limitations of Incineroar, and I'm definitely not trying to John for you, but of course, this in any kind of fighting game, if a character has limitations, they get abused, right? As it should in the matchup and stuff like that, right? And then, it just felt like there's a limitation there, but you were able to get past that limitation. And I like how you brought up your collision run, because I feel like when a lot of people, when an obscured character gets a run, right? It's like, oh, well, he fought all the matchups were good for him. Like this top player choked game 5 and it was like super obvious. And then like this guy also SD'd, and like they'll make a bunch of excuses to the narrative of this mid-tier getting through and stuff like that, right? And because usually that's what has to happen for these lower characters on the tier list to break into a top 8, because not only does the player have to be good, but there's certain matchups, the lower down the tier list you go, their matchup charts become more and more volatile, right? Where it's like, oh dang, like this one's really hard, and then this top tier matchup's really hard. So what do you feel like, was it something in Incineroar's toolkit that you kind of like sparked? And I know another thing too is when you have fun with the character, you really want to get nerdy about it. At least that's how I kind of get when I'm playing a video game, where it's like, man, if I really like playing this one character, like I want to know all the different confirms, and you kind of have that extra motivation and passion to invest your time and learn more about the character, because you want to be able to show what the character can do, because you just love the character so much. So yeah, do you think it was a specific thing in your own gameplay? Was it something like kind of piecing in certain Incineroar tools where you're like, oh man, I used to do this a lot with down tilt, but then I started using it like this, and that helped a lot against these top tier matchups? Or do you feel like you're just kind of getting these really hard reads in certain scenarios and you cash out the most with Incineroar? I'm so curious to try and pick your brain in terms of like what you think was that breakthrough in terms of your learnings in the character and in competition to break into these top eights and get these crazy runs like Collision where you're going up against really hard matchups, the best players in the world of those matchups, right? And getting all the way to grand finals.
I think the most important thing, and I'm always saying to the people that, well, to my students on MetaFight, is the fact that they always try to play the way Incineroar is supposed to be played. I think Incineroar, at least I see it this way, it's not easy to play him. I mean, it's easy to learn to play Incineroar, but the difficult part is to play him competitive, because normally a lot of characters has a lot of tools to play neutral. For example, if you're facing a Palutena and you're at 0%, what does she want? Like, she wants to nair you so bad, like really, really bad. The same with Game & Watch. I don't know, with Luigi, he wants to grab you, he wants to start the combo, stuff like that. And Incineroar doesn't have something like that to start with in a safe way, like every other character. But I think that's really huge, bad, but amazing point. At least I see it that way, because it made me learn so much on the current meta, because I can't play the same way every time. And I see a lot of people playing the same way every time. So I just need to look up for what they like to do. And in that way, I can just play my way. Okay, Incineroar is not a really huge combo character. So he just needs to hit once, and he gets the 15-20% damage. That's all you need in an interaction. And do it over and over again. So I assume that on my gameplay, like I actually don't need to go in every time. Okay, I get a hit, then what they do? Okay, and then I start recollecting the information, and that's the reason like my hard reads are really, really strong. That's the way I know if they are gonna stay in shield on the ledge, if they want to roll in, if they are already afraid. Like something Louis Money said, it was really important on Summit. It was like, yeah, but Czech plays with fear all the time. I'm not having fear. And then you see like after game one, he's like, okay, he's eating the normal stuff, the normal Incineroar stuff, because now he's afraid. There's no way for people to character, and I think that plays a really important thing on Incineroar game plan. Like, they are so used to, okay, it's Incineroar, you just need to camp him, you just need to put him away, you just need to edge guarding him. It's easy. But at the moment, the Incineroar just knows how to enter, knows how to play the neutral, like patience. He doesn't need to go in every time, and the moment he goes in hard. And if you enter in Incineroar space really bad, he can shield grab you, he can net out of shield, he can down air, he can hit something with range, and now you're afraid of everything. I think that was something really important again on my gameplay. I used to play like a little bit more randomly, reckless, but I started to see it on last year, Reta, a major tier here, an invitational. It was with Blue Tony, Sparrow, and Leo. I was like, okay, I just need to play my gameplay. I don't need to go in every time. I don't need to go and invade their zone. And after that, I have been pulling out these kind of games. I think I was able, after Genesis, I was able to like think every time I'm gonna play, I'm thinking, because I cannot stop thinking, you know? I have to think to play my way. And I saw it on Collision. I was like, okay, I'm actually thinking on everything against every player, against every character. They can do this, they want this. For example, with the boss, was like, okay, at the start, he's not going to be afraid, because he's like, okay, I can just throw Luma and she's going to make everything. But every time I was pulling Luma out, he was afraid of getting close. And every time he was getting in, he was getting hard punished. So he started to do like really basic stuff, defensive stuff, for saying it like that. So I was able to get for up smashes, my side Bs, edge guarding. The same with Meister, the same with Spargo, the same happened with Lima, bro. Lima, the moment I killed Lima at 0 with the up I was like, bro, I'm already winning this. Like, he's so afraid now to edge guard me, being Bayonetta, bro. He got killed twice as Bayonetta off stage. He's not gonna be able to edge guard me just because he's afraid of me. So I think that's something important in Incineroar, like knowing how to put fear on your opponents, knowing what to do, like it's conditioning, but with Incineroar it's stronger because it's the conditioning plus the incredible fear he can put in you. But once you have that, actually know what to do with that, because a lot of Incineroars, they don't even know when they are putting fear in their opponents. They just, okay, he's afraid, I'm just gonna keep throwing side B, side B, side B, and that's not the way. I think that's the reason, like, I'm really away from the actual Incineroar meta on my actual level. I hope other Incineroars catch up. That would be amazing, because they condition, but they don't know what to do with the conditioning. And I condition someone, and I try to be as powerful, or I want to get as hard as the punish I can be.
So, how do you recommend the up and coming Incineroars to recognize when they have conditioned that fear in? Like, what do you see as the tells that that fear is in place?
I think the start of it's because Incineroar hits so hard with everything, people are just afraid of it. And once you start putting revenge, once you putting them on the ledge, you have to see, you actually have to analyze and see what they are doing. I'm not just randomly throwing side Bs. Maybe at the start, I'm randomly throwing side Bs to the ledge because, okay, I threw a side B. Oh, they roll in. The next time I have to punish that. Don't go for another side B. Something important for me, at least, is like, in this kind of games, you don't have to hit every time where your opponent is. You have to hit where your opponent is going to be. People try to hit where they are and then when they are going to be. And you don't have time, like, not at least with Incineroar, or maybe other characters like Sheik frame data, okay, but I'm not playing Sheik, I'm playing Incineroar. It's okay, go for the read. Believe in the read. The read is going to happen. If it doesn't happen, it's like, okay, you just got a bad read. It's no problem. Next time, just go for the accurate thing. But if you get the read, your opponent is going to be like even more afraid and afraid and afraid of every decision. You need to be playing around that. And in the moment they start playing like in the most generic way they can play their character, like even for example with Lima or Blue for Emma, the moment they just jump side B like on the ledge, like that's the most basic Bayonetta thing. The moment they start doing that, you know you are winning because they are already too afraid that they are going for basic stuff or generic stuff or I hope this hits stuff. And every time they do that, they get punished, boom, 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 boom. And that's all you need to recognize when they are going to be afraid of you. And even if they are like keeping their composure the most possible way, like, I don't know, even if you side on the ledge and they're like, for example, every time I face Leo, I haven't faced him like in bracket, I just in friendlies. But I can feel like he's not actually afraid of my character. He's respecting my character. And that's really important for me because he shows me how to play on that. But even with that, you're like, okay, how is he gonna act? Okay, he stays in the ledge. Oh, he reacts. Stop going for specials. Incineroar specials are amazing, but if your opponent feels safe with you using specials, and he's just like playing around you, he's gonna be like, okay, that's cool. But the moment you stop using specials and you just play neutral, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm really waiting for the moment. But if you never give to them, they're gonna be like, again, they're gonna be afraid of the moment you're gonna use them, and maybe you don't even need it, and you're gonna get the kill, you're gonna get the hit, you're gonna get the game. So yeah, recognizing when your opponent is afraid is not that difficult. I think the difficult part is actually knowing what to do as a punish. Like, okay, they roll in. I like to do F to start calling out the things. Oh, they roll again. Maybe the next time I'm gonna smash him. Oh, now they are afraid on the ledge. I just need to side it to the ledge. I need to down tilt on the ledge because they are robbing the ledge too much. Every time an interaction happens, as an Incineroar, as every other character, but as an Incineroar main, you have to see like what they are afraid of. Okay, they stood too much on the ledge, down tilt left low. Now the next time they roll in because now they are afraid of the down tilt. Now go for the roll in. But actually analyze, like, I cannot tell like there's a universal answer, not even on the best top tier characters. But I can tell you, like, there's always an answer to everything your opponent does. You just need to be on point to catching that.
So another thing that I think kind of links into this on a broader platform is how do you think that the stage list interacts with Incineroar in the metagame?
Ooh, great question.
Actually, it's exactly. It's heavy because normally people ask me what are Incineroar best stages? And I'm never able to give them like one answer because it depends so much on matchups. For example, I think the rule set that is happening right now is the Europe rule set when they have 9 stages. For me, I think like that's the best rule set overall, and with Incineroar the same. The rule set it was just to be difficult for Incineroar because there were like 3 Pokemon stadiums, 2 final destinations, and Smashville Town. But obviously they are gonna ban Smashville Town, so I just need to play in a top tier stage, top tier character stage. So the moment they change it to like, okay, now you have actually options. Yeah, of course. I win a match and I'm banning, I don't know, FD, Kalos, and PS2. Okay, but I'm facing, for example, in that scenario, a spammer. Okay, I need to get rid of long stages and no platform stages. Oh, I'm facing, for example, Palutena. Maybe she's like amazing on triplats, but Incineroar is amazing on triplats too. So you need to be like, okay, what is actually good for Incineroar? But maybe my opponent can do it better, so I need to get rid of it. For example, if I'm facing an Ike, I don't have any trouble going to Final Destination because I'm juggling better than the Ike. So I think Incineroar picking a stage is really, really important. Like, it's not like, okay, you pick up a bad stage, now you are losing instantly the game. But I think it's a huge factor that actually Incineroars have to be like, okay, I need to take these 30 seconds to think, okay, my opponent is a Mario. I'm not going to let him go to Battlefield. I'm not going to let him go to maybe PS2 and, oh my God, I don't know the other stage. Maybe somewhere you don't feel comfortable or somewhere like the other opponent feels really comfortable. But if you're leaving open the same stuff every time just because you are, for example, me as a player, I don't like FD and Kalos overall. I'm always banning those stages. At least in locals. In majors, I try to think a little bit more on the matchups. But like, I need to get rid of that. I needed to get rid of that because I stopped analyzing. For example, if I'm facing a Mario, I don't have any trouble going to Kalos because normally Mario won't like Kalos neither. So I think stage list at this point is amazing for Incineroar. Those 9 stages are amazing. 3 bans, it's all cool. But as an Incineroar main, you should really know what to ban, analyze the bans, not just striking just because, the same 3 stages every time. You need to think on the matchup you're facing. If not, you may, like, as I said before, you're not like instantly losing the game, but you're giving up so much advantage. And if you win as Incineroar in your opponent's counter pick where they think they were better than you, that game 3 is going to be so easy because they are so tilted.
Yeah, it's very interesting how you explained the way you learned and played in the competitive ultimate environment was more so. I feel like you have a very like I like to look at things a lot on paper, but I feel like for you, you're not looking so much on paper. It's like, okay, I have to play like this when my opponent is over respecting me, right? And then if he's not respecting Incineroar, I have this as an answer. If he's over respecting Incineroar, I have this as an answer. Oh, now they're scared. How scared are they? Are they like level 1 scared, level 2 scared, level 3 scared? And then, I feel like your play very much so depends on that. So feeling out how your opponent feels in these specific scenarios, that's how I feel like you can cash out, and you're so good at conditioning because your character has to do that, right? Like, you're not getting one hit and doing 80 damage. It's more like you can be in a situation where you just have to get 2 hits and get 40. Then you get a revenge, and then it's like, well, you're at 40, but like you're realistically at like 100 plus, right? Because now I can kill you at any given moment, right? So even the way Incineroar works is interesting because I think it coincides very well with your mentality of putting conditioning first over matchup, right? Where it's like, and obviously you still play to the matchup, right? Like, oh, in these windows, like this isn't like really that true, so I can revenge. And yeah, like obviously you still have to know a bunch of matchup specific stuff, especially with revenge. So that kind of pivots into my next question. Which archetype do you feel like gives Incineroar the most run for his money? Because even when I think of Incineroar, I don't even think his biggest weakness personally is his recovery because of the amount of armor your special moves have. So there's a lot of times where it's like against the character, it's like, oh, okay, well, if my move outranges you, like say I have a Marth Fair or Lucina Fair, like my move outranges your move. So I swing here, and if you swing, I outrange you. So your only option is air dodge, right? And then if you air dodge, I can maybe frame trap you and go for a continuation of the edge guard. But Incineroar is very unique in a sense where it's like, well, I have a third option. I can give myself armor. And I've seen you do that so many times where you read someone when they're coming in offensively off stage for you and just you use the upbeat, even if it doesn't hit them, you use it just to armor through the hit, not burn the air dodge, go high. And even just the way you DI specific moves when you get hit off stage, you'll DI up, then you'll double jump up B, and then you'll kind of put yourself in a juggle scenario where revenge gets a little bit more value, because if you revenge off stage and you don't get hit, it doesn't stall you, right? And you'll just like sink like a rock and die. So revenge, it depends on the scenario. You have to be pretty close to the stage to revenge off stage. Essentially, you can't do it too far out, right? So, and it stops your air mobility too, right? So like right underneath the stage or right by the ledge, it's fine. But I actually think his biggest weakness is his mobility. He has a very slow run. He has a very slow walk. So I'm just very curious what you think Incineroar's biggest weakness is. And on top of that, which archetypes kind of give you the most struggle? Is it projectiles? Is it like fighting game characters where it's like, oh, we're both next to each other. Like I also need to be next to you, but your output is like crazy, right? Like obviously the most extreme version of this is Kazuya, which you've also beaten before, which is absolutely insane. When you think about on paper, it's like both these characters want to be next to each other to win, but this character gets way more reward on paper in terms of like damage output and kill potential, right? What do you think is Incineroar's worst trait or the biggest weakness, and which archetype do you struggle the most with?
Okay, I think his biggest weaknesses are, it depends on, I think it's zoning, but it depends on the zoning type, because it's not the same getting zoned by, I don't know, for example, Sephiroth, where you can actually react to his aerial so you can revenge them, or Cloud the same way. But I think zoning, for example, Samus is a specific really bad matchup for Incineroar, because every time he throws an special, yeah, for a lot of people it's like, why just not revenging? No, because you can't. If Samus throws a charge shot and you revenge that, Samus has so much time to actually grab you and quit you the revenge. So I will say like maybe those kind of zoning, like they can be aggressive zonings, but they are safe every time. For example, I think Incineroar's worst matchup is Zero Suit Samus. Like from early Ultimate till now, just because Zero Suit Samus has so much mobility and has so much mid-range pressure that it's just where Incineroar is gonna struggle, because Zero Suit Samus there, it's amazing. Like it combos, it annoys, it put in tech situation. It just like it's playing neutral for her, at least on that matchup. And maybe you are like, oh yeah, you can revenge it. Yeah, you can revenge it, but it's a 50-50 on the next interaction. It's the same stuff. So I will say like those kind of zonings, because for example, I just said like fighting game characters, I don't see it that bad. Normally every fighting game character like has a better output damage in normal situation. On Incineroar, it normally has like better tools on close range, like Ken and Ryo down till frame 2 is like, I cannot compete with that. But with those kind of situations, it's you can actually play the opponent like, oh, now I can play the player. Oh, cool. They are gonna go for the down tilt. I can just armor trade. I don't know, Duck Hunt zoning. Oh, he puts the cowboy. I can just revenge it. I can just need like get away of there, revenge, and then I can go in again. But with Zero Suit Samus, even R.O.B, like his zoning is not that easy to deal with, because he has so good hitboxes, but in the same way he has safe hitboxes, and he has like the gyro, the laser is so annoying for Incineroar. He can edgeguard you for free. So yeah, like those mid-range characters that can annoy you in a safe way without getting like any risk, or maybe almost any risk. I think those are the hardest ones. Min, R.O.B, Zero Suit Samus, even Sonic, I will say. Even if Sonic has to go in, like if Sonic goes in, 1 second he's in, and the other second he's on the other way, on the other leg. So like he's actually not getting in. And yeah, his biggest problem is still the mobility on the ground, at least. Like his aerial speed is actually able to match top tier mobility stuff. I don't know why they make it like that. Like, okay, yeah, for example, Ganondorf on the floor and on the air, he's trash. But Incineroar on the floor, he's the slowest character in the game. But on the air, he's actually really good with mobility. That's the reason his aerial combos are extremely good. But yeah, on the ground, and it's a problem, because you cannot be jumping every time. You cannot be jumping against a Palutena. You cannot be jumping against the same Samus. So you jump against a Samus pair, and you're like off stage with no jump. So yeah, I'm gonna say like his biggest weakness, and maybe not like his only weakness, but I think it's the only remarkable is the speed. Because even the recovery, if you have jump, you can mix up so bad, as you said before. Like sometimes I even armor through my opponent's moves. I don't even need to kill them. I just need to go to the stage. And in the moment I OB onto the stage and they try to edgeguard me, for example, like Lima did, I position myself to the OB getting the armor and then kill him at 0. It's like, okay, the next time I just can recover for free. But as long as I have jump, if I don't have jump, Incineroar is so easy to edgeguard, just that people are so afraid on the entire set that when they have the easy chance to edgeguard Incineroar, they just won't go for it. But the same way, because I put already fear factor in them, so I'm cool with that. But yeah, like his biggest weakness, because it's not even the range. Like I can think in a lot of Incineroar stuff. And even if he's like, okay, he may be like, he doesn't have the jointed, he doesn't have like that much range, but it's not like even bad. His frame data compensates it, his mix-ups, but yeah, every time I think about ground speed, I just think like, damn, bro, like, why they will do that dirty to my character?
So, where in the future do you see Incineroar getting stronger? Like as a character, how do you see him developing in the future?
I think it's going to continue developing as playing against the player and playing against the matchup. Those both things are really important. At this point, I'm already making that. But I think I can go even further. Every time I play another play, like you saw it with Riddles. I play him in Collision and it was like back and forth. And then you see well, like, yeah, it's still Kazuya and it's still Riddles, obviously. But you see those 3 games, the winner finals, grand finals, and then Summit, the losers top qualifier. And you can see like the difference in my game, everything. So I think as long as I can keep competing against like maybe the same players or even different players, every time I play with them, I'm going to be playing even better because I think my adaptation, not only mid game, but between tournaments, it just goes crazy because I study so bad the matchups, I study so bad the players. I learn so much from my mistakes. So even if it's not like only Incineroar or current meta, because Incineroar meta, I think it's not kind of a stock. Because even if I can do like the things I'm doing right now, and obviously I'm really hoping other Incineroars does the same too. I don't see like other Incineroars popping off at this moment. I really want it so bad, but I don't see like Sharpie or Mystery Soul that are the strongest ones. I think Mystery Soul is not even playing at this point. He's playing Rivals, I think. But Incineroar meta, I don't think it's going to change that much on the general Incineroar level. But I think on my runs are going to go even crazy every time. Just because I'm able, not only as a character, but as a player, I'm learning so bad with the stuff my opponents are giving to me every time I play with them. It's information. Maybe the next time I play with them, for example, in Low Tide City or Battle of BC, I have to play, I don't know, Yoshidora, that I obviously have never played against him, so I don't know what he's gonna do. But you tell me, oh, nah, yeah, you play Yoshidora, you go 3-0 by him. Oh, but the next time, I don't know, you're gonna play him in SmashCon, you're gonna see like a huge change on the gameplay, just because now I know a little bit more about Yoshidora. Just for example, I don't know, Yoshidora, Ken, other players in USA, in NA, even Ferbs, I think, is going to the tournament and stuff like that. So Incineroar meta and my runs meta is gonna keep upgrading so bad. I mean, I think that way. I hope that it goes that way. Or maybe it just goes the other way around, like, oh, now we know Incineroar matchup, so I go back instead of top 8 or maybe even winning a super major. I can go back to, oh, you're top 16 player again, like just like that.
And what would you say that process to learning between sets is? So just going from your set with Riddles at Collision to Summit, what would you say that your process for learning and adapting to that is?
Okay, my process on adapting it was more like, okay, yeah, it's Kazuya. I already know like Kazuya frame data, I know the stuff. Now I need to play against the player more than the character. Oh, Riddles likes to do the, like, for example, landing with an aerial, then electric. Why? Because electric is a good option. So you have to be, I said this on Summit, you have to be like 5 or 10 steps ahead, sometimes against your opponents, because Ultimate has so much safe stuff. So you need to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the step 5, you're gonna be where you need to be to punish that. Maybe not a big punish, but you're getting those little punishes. Then after are gonna be big punishes. Not because you're playing against the character, it's because you're playing against the player. Oh, he likes to do the save, then save. But on this fifth move, on this sixth move, now he's not safe. So you have to go and punish that. It's difficult, yeah. It's really, really hard, not gonna lie. Like being 5-10 steps ahead of your opponent just to get punishes. It's really stressful. But once you get them, you can do like the stuff, not only with Incineroar, I think with every character. Just that I learned it because I was forced to learn that with my character. Other characters are like, oh yeah, I'm playing Pyramidra, I just need to space it. Oh, it didn't hit, I don't care, I'm safe. For me, it's like, oh, I didn't hit this, oh, I may be dead. So yeah, I learned it the hard way, but I'm glad I had to learn that way because now I'm one of those players. I don't know if there are so much more like this. I haven't analyzed so much other players like not being against me, but I'm one of those players that if he has to wait 5 or like 1 minute, 1 minute and a half for you to make a mistake because he knows you're gonna make a mistake in this spot, I'm able to do that because I know it's gonna happen. So I'm glad Incineroar taught me that. And now I'm able to go for big punishes, even if I have to take my time, take a red, take some damage just to make it happen. I'm gonna be able to make it happen like every player.
Yeah, I think one thing that stood out to me, at least when you were explaining just how you view bad matchups and what you deem bad and what you not deem bad, is the fact that you were like, oh, against Kazuya or fighting game characters, right? Like their damage output is a lot more, but I get to play the game with them, right? Like you get to play the player in those scenarios where even if you're at a disadvantage on frame data and damage output, you can still hit them, right? Because I feel like when you're thinking of your bad matchups, there's a lot of scenarios where it's like, well, no matter what I do here, Min will swing, I will shield, and then I will, like, the only victory you get is, well, you're still in a mix-up from the second arm, and then maybe you can drop shield and move forward a little bit, and then you got to play it again, right? Like, play another unwinnable scenario where the only thing you get is, maybe walking forward or maybe a dash, right? You get one dash of stage control, and it's obviously not that good for Incineroar because your dash isn't too long or too fast, right? So it's very interesting to see your perspective where it's like, oh, well, Kazuya can kill me in one hit when I'm next to him, but at least I get to play the player, right? Because you've had to experience so much other hardships with the weaknesses of your character. And I like the correlation of accelerated learning in a sense where if you're playing a top tier with, like, say, a really good recovery or something like that, right? And you can kind of get smacked up and not care about your neutral choices, but since your character could die at any moment because, one double jump read off stage and that's it for your character, right? And there's a bunch of characters that could maybe ledge trap or edge guard you very well. And most of these heavier characters, that's where a lot of their downfalls come, right? Is in that disadvantage. When they get hit, like when Steve gets hit, Steve can still hit you, right? Very easily. And obviously known as one of the best characters in the game. Whereas Incineroar gets hit and it's like, okay, well, realistically, I got to respect like Nair, Revenge is kind of it, right? Not too many crazy options, maybe like a back air or just falling areas in general, maybe some specials with some armor. But for the most part, when Incineroar gets hit, your opponent is in the driver's seat and you have to make very conscious decisions. And I think because of that, the way you look at the game is every single moment in neutral is conscious decision just because of what is at risk for you and what you've had to fight through and play through, right? To get these wins against these amazing players that play these amazing characters. So yeah, man, it was great hearing your insight. That's all the questions I got. I don't know if you got any other questions, Tony.
I just had one left. So you mentioned Yoshidori and Kent. What player have you never faced who you look forward to facing in bracket the most?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, MKLL, like for sure. I have only faced him once in an online tournament, Frame Perfect Series.
Really?
It was like really janky. Yeah, it was really janky because he kept getting me into Castle Siege, I think because he was getting subs, like gifted subs. So I was like, why is he getting me here, And then I saw the stream and I was like, oh, they were actually like, yeah, take him to his best stage on the rules. And then I'm like, okay. it was his 1 week violet, so it was online. So I was like, that doesn't clearly count. But yeah, he's like actually, or most likely, the only Mexican, or at least Mexican top 10 in the world and in the country that I haven't played, and I'm really, really looking for it because every time we're about to play, something happens. We should have played in Collision. He got defeated by Riddles. We should have played in Summit. The bracket didn't go as planned. We should have played in a lot of tournaments, and everything, something happens, maybe to him, maybe to me. Every time we play friendlies, we go really back and forth. So I'm really looking for him more than, like, at least as a in the same country. Well, on USA tournaments at least. I'm really looking to face Leo, obviously on top 8 or something like that. I don't want him like before. But yeah, I'm really looking for it. I'm excited for it. I know it's gonna happen one day. I hope it happens on one day. I'm excited about the idea. And another one that is maybe not Leo, I will be looking for facing, for example, the Japanese players. I think the most I want to face is Miya, because I feel really good at the matchup. Like, I have from the best watch in the world matchup experience. Obviously, Miya, it's a different watch, but there's a reason he's Miya. So I want to look how it could go facing another bad matchup for me, but a matchup I really know from one of the Japanese players. Yeah, I think those two are like I want to face them because I haven't played them.
Yeah. It was crazy watching Mia at the Scuff World Tour versus Spargo, I believe, right? And then Spargo
Gluto.
actually
Gluto too.
And Gluto, yeah. And it was crazy to see Mia forcing Spargo to switch off of Cloud against Game & Watch, which is like, in the community, that is known as a very good matchup for Cloud, and Spargo is the best Cloud in the world. So it was just crazy seeing.
You know the matchup.
Yeah, and he plays with
He's Mia.
Right, and I mean, obviously he knows the matchup because playing against Meister for so long. So that was really crazy to see. It's really cool to see another Game & Watch kind of come into the fray and kind of contest Meister for that title of best Game & Watch. And I mean, kind of just shows how Game & Watch. I think it's nice because I feel like a lot of people think Game & Watch is at least on the high tier end, like a stronger tier character, and we've only seen Meister for so long, and now seeing another player from another region with a different style of Game & Watch is always fun to see, right? And yeah, I think you versus the Japanese players, I know you were talking about Mia, but even some of the other ones, I think would be really exciting because I feel like Japan as a region, like every region has their play styles, I feel like, and they all have their character specialists and stuff like that. But I think Japan would be a really interesting region for you to face against because I feel like Japan is very neutral orientated, and I think that's where Incineroar can like kind of struggle, right? So I feel like if you were to fight the Japanese players, that would be a very good test to trying to play this neutral game with such a slow character, right? And how you set up those player-to-player interactions where you can kind of thrive in, and it would be a great interaction to see. All right.
Yeah, I'm really looking for that here in Battle of BC.
Oh yes, Battle of BC is going to be crazy. I can't wait for that tournament. All right, so that's going to be it for us here at Coach's Corner. If you guys enjoyed the content, SkyJay, do you want to shout out anyone or shout out your socials?
On my social, maybe follow me on Twitch, SkyJay. I don't know how to say this thing on the keyboard. This line on there. SkyJay _ SSB. On Twitter, SkyJay2301. I think most of them, maybe meta5.gg/SkyJay. Overall, that I think those are my most active Smash accounts.
Nice. Well, make sure you guys tell us in the comments below what you guys feel about Incineroar as a character and how SkyJay has innovated this character to now be a very potent force in top level of play. But till next time, class dismissed.